the putting off of things and then a day or so later, the putting on, actual, literal putting on of the things that we did want to be or do in the new year. And we talked about how that it was actually very, very helpful to have a physical object like a piece of jewelry that you literally put on. So if you're wanting to put on courage this year, put on courage each day to remind yourself. If you're wanting to put on fearlessness, actually put it on. Don't get your big head stuck like I just did, but actually put it on physically as a reminder. And it occurred to me that for some, it can be hard to put on the things that you honestly want to embody this year if you're not completely certain as to who you are. And it reminded me a little bit of the book of Ruth. And you remember this story, I'm guessing, fairly clearly, where Ruth loses her husband when she's away in a foreign country, and she loses her sons as well. And she is left alive with her two daughters-in-law. And as she prepares to go back to her home country, she's preparing to go alone. She's a little bit done. She's somewhat embittered, understandably so, I might add, because of her losses, those grave losses. And she is sort of done with being that older woman, I imagine, in the lives of her two daughters-in-law, Ruth and Orpha. Well, what happens is that Orpha very gladly goes back to her home of origin and to her family of origin, but Ruth decides she is going to stay with Naomi. No matter what, she is going to stay with her. She is not going to leave her side. Well, interestingly enough, Ruth, I think, is sort of the catalyst behind Naomi's taking up the cross, so to speak, again, and saying, well, I'm going to do this thing that apparently I'm called to do because the girl is not leaving me. So Ruth does accompany her mother-in-law back to her homeland, and she begins to live the life of a woman who is ministered to, a young woman who is ministered to by an older woman. And it makes that Titus 2, starting verse 3 passage about the older women teaching the younger women come alive in my mind. It really does, because Ruth does really have that advantage in her life, and Naomi gets the great blessing of being that older woman who will teach her younger daughter, so to speak, how to live life, how to snag that man Boaz, how to respond to him and to respect him, how to act. She literally teaches that to the younger woman. And I think that's a great big blessing of the older woman. Now, for me, I remember that I've had so many things happen in my life that were not quite at the time that they happened in other people's lives, particularly those of my peers. And so even at age 43, being 7 months pregnant, I did not see myself, perhaps because of my pregnancy and being in this whole brand new area of life, yet as the older woman. I was a dorm mom by then and still didn't see myself quite that way all the time. There were times when I stepped into it and times when I stepped back. But we had the great opportunity of being invited to the wedding of one of our dorm sons who was getting married in Florida. So we got to fly down to Florida in the summer, had a wonderful, wonderful time. And one of the days that we were there, of course, we had a bridal shower for the woman getting married, obviously, and her friends, the bridesmaids, threw this bridal party shower. It was wonderful. We were in the reception hall. And at the end of the party, one of the bridesmaids says something like, well, okay, we're going to wrap up this now. Thank you all very much for coming. The older women are going to stay behind and get the food all together for our reception tomorrow and decorate the room and all of that. And the rest of us are going to go next door, and we have another little party for the bride that we're going to have. Well, I'm thinking to myself, oh, okay, so the older women are going to stay here and do their little stuff, and I am going to go with my pregnant self with the younger women, some of whom were also pregnant, to the party. Remember I told you about that after party thing a couple days ago? Well, this was one of those examples where, again, I was not invited to the after party. I was just not invited. In fact, one of the women said, as she saw me following the girls next door to where the other party was, said, "Oh, Mrs. Boykin, not Sherry, not any nickname for me, but Mrs. Boykin, we thought you might want to be in the other group where Aaron's mom is." And she, of course, was the mother of the groom. And mind you, on that day, a full year or two younger than I was, pregnant. So you can get the picture, the little confusion that entered my mind, but I got the message loud and clear. And sure enough, I just went back to the older women, but kind of talking to myself like, I can still hang out with the girls. How does she stop calling me an older woman? How many older women are walking around pregnant at this point? But indeed they are, just so you know. So I stayed there, and I actually had a wonderful time doing decorating with my catering background. I had a wonderful time with them. We set up everything beautifully, got the food together, and we were on our way. Here's what I didn't know, however. The very next day, I had no idea this was even in the works, and I'm not sure now even how exactly this came to pass. But right before the wedding ceremony was to start, I was in one of those back rooms at the church with the bride, and everyone else had gone away. Everyone else was busy doing whatever they should have been doing at that time. And I got an opportunity to stand with that bride. She held her hair off to the side, and I got to lace her wedding dress together. Lace every single one. She had this beautiful wedding dress with all this beautiful decoration on the back, and it needed to be pulled together and laced together and tied with a big bow at the bottom. And I got the awesome opportunity to do that while I talked and prayed with that bride before she walked down the road, or down the aisle, pardon me, in holy matrimony. And I can't tell you what a great older woman blessing that was for me to be able to do that. Something I would have missed if I wanted to throw away my position as that older woman. So if that's you today, if you're thinking, okay, one of the things I need to put on this year is the doing of my role as the older woman, put it on. I can't tell you what a blessing it will be. You may not even know the younger woman yet as we sit here today and talk about this, but God will send your way the people to whom you will make a huge, huge difference. You will minister to that younger woman. I cannot encourage you enough to take on your role. Be who you are. Be who you were meant to be.